ESPN welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Back in Denver on a gorgeous night. The temperature at kickoff 72 degrees, clear skies overhead, and a very light breeze inside Sports Authority Field at Mile High. The Denver Broncos started out 4-0. They've lost their last two. Trying to get back on the winning track. Haven't dropped 3 in a row since 2011. They won the toss and deferred, so Brandon McManus kicks off. And Tyler Irvin, the rookie from San Jose State, took a knee about 3 yards deep in the end zone. So here's Brock Osweiler, the last 4 years with Denver, and he's greeted by boos as he takes the field. 7 starts all last season when Peyton Manning was injured. They went 5-2 in those games. He was replaced in week 17 against San Diego by Peyton Manning. He said that had nothing to do with his decision to leave. But not a warm welcome back to the Mile High City for the tall quarterback at 6'7". Lamar Miller down after a gain of a yard. Sylvester Williams made the tackle.
Well, he knows this Denver defense, and they know him. I think he's got to fight the emotions early. No negative plays. I expect Bill O'Brien to be very conservative with his play selection early in this game.
Sylvester Williams limped off after making the tackle. Darius Kilgo replaced him. Lamar Miller ahead again. Out to the 30-yard line. Shane Ray and Darian Stewart combined on the stop. And here's the Texans offense. Jeff Allen and Derek Newton return on the right side of the offensive line. Both did not play last week against Indianapolis with injuries. And they welcome the return this week of Will Fuller, the speedy wide receiver out of Notre Dame, who did not play in the exciting come-from-behind win against the Colts. He had a hamstring injury. Coach Bill O'Brien says he's full go tonight. Deafening noise for Osweiler in this Houston offense on 3rd down and 5. No rush, and the pass incomplete, thrown behind DeAndre Hopkins.
And T.J. Ward almost had a pick 6. He read Osweiler's eyes all the way, almost like he knew what the play is. Keep an eye on Ward, number 43 on the right side of your screen. When you're 6'8", the defense can see every move of your eyes. That time Ward read him like a book.
Shane Leckler in his 17th year, age 40, loves kicking in Denver. Did many times as a member of the Oakland Raiders. Jordan Norwood. Nifty return, spun around and taken down just shy of the 25-yard line. 62-yard punt for the ageless Shane Leckler. 17-yard return. So here's Trevor Siemian, the first quarterback in NFL history who had not thrown a pass in the league to start a season opener for the defending Super Bowl champions. And how has he done? He won his first 4 starts. The only other active quarterbacks to win their first 4, Drew Brees and Ben Roethlisberger. He was injured in week 4 against Tampa, did not start or play in their loss to Atlanta, returned last week for the loss at San Diego. Siemian a lot of time. Here comes Vince Wilfork, and the ball thrown away, which is a good idea when Big Vince is coming in your direction.
You know, Sean, Siemian has done a nice job managing the offense. He really hasn't taken many chances with the ball, but he's quietly becoming a leader on this team. He's just going to need a lot of help from his teammates. They have been unable to run the football or protect the passer. And last week, this offensive line committed 8 penalties against the Chargers.
4 of the 5 offensive linemen were called for holding last week. The only one who wasn't, Donald Stevenson, committed 3 other penalties. Demarius Thomas blasted right on the catch by A.J. Boye, who's their 3rd corner tonight. Kevin Johnson's on IR with an injured foot, so more action for Boye.
But he's playing like their best corner. He read that quick screen. Excellent job in transition, breaking and driving on Demarius Thomas. 3rd down and long. Clowney emerging at the bottom of the screen, and Whitney Merciless as hot as any pass rusher at the top. Be careful if you're Denver.
They've been a slow starting team, Denver, on both sides of the ball in recent weeks. They ran only 5 plays in the first quarter at San Diego a week ago Thursday, and this will be a 3 and out. Again, good coverage by Boye on Emmanuel Sanders.
Romeo Crennel, the defensive coordinator, covers all 5 linemen. They create one-on-ones up front. Ball's got to come out quick. And A.J. Boye making a name for himself this year in Houston.
Crowd thought that should have been pass interference on the replay on the big screen. Here's the rookie punter, Riley Dixon, out of the Harvard of Central New York, Syracuse University. 7th round draft choice. Has had an up and down rookie season. Irvin with room on the catch. Taken down at the 40-yard line. Corey Nelson down covering the punt. 46-yard punt. Irvin returned it for 10. 0-2 on the road this year at New England and Minnesota. ESPN's Monday Night Football is brought to you by Heineken. Open your world. Enjoy responsibly. By NFLShop.com. Get free shipping on orders today at the official store of the NFL. And by Navy Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA. Gary Kubiak, the Broncos head coach, strong ties to Houston, a Houston native, born there in 1961. Great high school quarterback, won 3 state championships, played at Texas A&M, was head coach of the Texans, now coaching against them. And Brock Osweiler booed again as he took the field by the sellout crowd, on target for a 7-yard gain to DeAndre Hopkins. Great to see Gary back on the sideline. He was not in San Diego for their game a week ago Thursday against the Chargers. He was taken to the hospital after their loss in the prior game to Atlanta with what was diagnosed as a complex migraine condition. He said it was brought on by a lack of sleep. He's received some help in sleeping the last couple of weeks, as he feels much better. But scary, particularly given that he had a mini stroke in 2013 during a game while the coach of the Texans. On 2nd and 3, Lamar Miller chopped down after a 1-yard gain. It'll be 3rd down and 2. Here's a look at the Denver defense. Up front, Derek Wolfe has 4.5 sacks, second on the team behind Von Miller. Jared Crick spent the last 4 years playing for Houston. Outstanding linebacker group. Shane Ray, an emerging star in his 2nd year out of Missouri. And 2 Pro Bowl corners in Aqib Talib and Chris Harris. T.J. Ward, their leading tackler for the year. 3rd down and 2. They're without DeMarcus Ware tonight for the 5th straight game with a fractured forearm. A blitz. They hit Osweiler on the throw, and it's incomplete. Broken up by Aqib Talib, intended for DeAndre Hopkins.
Denver knows when they line up in a trips formation, they're going to isolate Hopkins on the right. You're going to see all the way. Osweiler knows it's single coverage. He flashes a hand signal to his right. And DeAndre Hopkins versus Aqib Talib. Round 1 to Talib.
2 3 and outs for Houston. Here's Shane Leckler to punt. His career average of 47.5 gross, the best of all time in the National Football League. Fair catch made by Jordan Norwood back inside the 10-yard line. 44-yard punt. Among those in the sellout crowd here tonight in Denver, Trevor Simeon's parents. On the left of your screen, Dr. Walter Simeon. On the right, Mom Colleen, formerly a nurse. She now runs Walter's office in the Orlando, Florida area. He's a cosmetic surgeon. His son throwing one deep for Emmanuel Sanders, and stride for stride was A.J. Boye.
A.J. Boye's ready to play tonight. That's his 3rd play already in this game. And Emmanuel Sanders, Demaryius Thomas, 2 receivers that have gone over 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. They're going through some frustrations dealing with these young quarterbacks, Sean.
Denver a 3 and out on the Broncos' first possession. Short pass caught by Benny Fowler, the 2nd-year man out of Michigan State. Boye there again. Here's the Denver offense, and John mentioned the struggles that they've had collectively. They spent a lot of money on 2 new free agent tackles in Okung and Stevenson, more than $11 million to bring them in. Look for more touches this week from Devontae Booker. They're looking for some juice in the running game. And he's in the game right now. To the left and slightly behind Trevor Siemian on 3rd and 3. Booker out of the University of Utah runs over the would-be tackler, Eddie Pleasant. First down, the first of the game for either team.
Number 73 offense. Half the distance to the goal. Repeat 3rd down.
And these penalties are getting ridiculous. Last week, 8 of them on the offensive line, 4 holding calls, and that nullifies a first down. Keep an eye on the left side of your screen, right side of your screen. Okung.
That's holding?
I mean, he can't hold any more than that. 3rd down and 11, and Houston remains in their sub package. Watch number 55 McKinney and 51 Simon. They're going to cover both guards and try to create some one-on-one pass rush opportunities for these great defensive ends.
Siemian on 3rd down, short pass. Norwood does not get the first down. Collared by A.J. Boyes at very active 5+ minutes. Injuries in that secondary for Romeo Crennel. We mentioned they lost Kevin Johnson, who had been their 3rd corner. They're playing without starting safety Quinton Demps, out for the 2nd straight game with a calf injury.
Special teams are going to be a big part of this. Rookie punter Riley Dixon. Rookie returner Tyler Irvin.
You like Irvin. He brought back 5 kicks at San Jose State for touchdowns, 3 kickoffs, 2 punts. Crowd groans as it isn't a great kick by Dixon, but it is well covered. And again, it's Corey Nelson making the tackle on punt coverage. 43-yard punt, still no score in Denver. Back in Denver, last season, DeAndre Hopkins experienced a quick liftoff. He piled up big numbers in the first 6 games, 52 catches from 2 different quarterbacks, Brian Hoyer and Ryan Mallett. This year, as he tries to get on the same page with Brock Osweiler, just 31 catches, less than half the receiving yards. And Osweiler, when trying to target DeAndre Hopkins, has thrown 6 of his 8 interceptions in the direction of Hopkins. That's the most interceptions toward a targeted player in the league. Still working to get on the same page. It's a complex offense. Osweiler out after the play fake, throwing a deep ball for Hopkins, and incomplete. Double covered. Chris Harris running basically stride for stride with a 24-year-old out of Clemson.
Pro Bowl corners. Talib got him the last time. This time Chris Harris isn't buying that double move at all. Most cornerbacks flip sides. They have a great corner that goes with a great receiver, but in Denver, Talib is going to be on their left. Harris is going to be on their right. They welcome any challenge from anybody.
Second and 10. The handoff to Lamar Miller. He's down shy of midfield. Coach, we talked about Hopkins and Osweiler trying to get on the same page. When we talked to DeAndre yesterday, he talked about the complexity of this offense. A lot of these receivers have choice routes when they line up based on what they see from the defense, and the quarterback and the receiver have to be seeing the same thing.
And it's hard on young receivers like rookie Will Fuller, rookie Braxton Miller to break in this offense, and it's especially hard on Brock Osweiler as he tries to figure out which option they're going to select.
C.J. Fedorowicz, the tight end, went in motion. They stick on the ground with Lamar Miller. Good decision on 3rd down, a long run, and he's bumped out of bounds. Deep into Denver territory. They'll mark it at the 27-yard line. Will Parks, a backup safety, with the tackle. 25 yards.
Fedorowicz comes backside to block Von Miller. Good creative play selection. And Lamar Miller, what an addition to this Texan offense he has been. Arian Foster, a great all-purpose back. Did it for years in Houston, and now they feel like they've got another one in Lamar Miller, who sets up Osweiler.
5th in the league in rushing yards. And that run of 25 yards, his longest of the season. He's been stacking up a lot of 4, 5, and 6-yard gainers. Osweiler over the middle, dropped, should have been caught, but dropped over the middle by Will Fuller. And if there's a criticism of the rookie out of Notre Dame, that's it. He drops too many balls.
Can't drop that one. 1st and 10, great field position. He's wide open. Fuller, who was inactive last week, hamstring been bothering him, missed practice time, and when young receivers miss practice time, usually bad things happen.
Bill O'Brien calls the plays for Houston in conjunction with the offensive coordinator George Godsey. Miller again. But check that, Alfred Blue in for Miller, taken down after a short gain.
And this is the time and place where Wade Phillips, the defensive coordinator of the Broncos, is known to blitz. Von Miller back in the game. Number 58, 7.5 sacks. And Shane Ray at the bottom of the screen, really coming on. Second-year man out of Missouri. They'd love to knock the Texans out of field goal range.
Stadium shaking. Here comes the blitz. Osweiler dumps it off, incomplete. Trying to set up a screen for Alfred Blue. Todd Davis, the linebacker, came on the blitz and blew it up.
That's a tough play to execute. A screen pass against man-to-man with the blitz. You're going to see Blue. Watch Blue try to leak out to his left. Number 51, Davis on the blitz. Denver read it beautifully.
Injured Texan on the play and a timeout. The injured player is the Texans starting right tackle Derek Newton, a 6-year veteran out of Arkansas State with an apparent right knee injury. He did not play last week against Indianapolis with a knee and ankle problem that ended a streak of 56 straight starts.
Take a look at that right knee and ankle.
Ooh.
Went down awkwardly. And this is a big injury for the Texans, who had a lot of injuries on their offensive line. They lost Nick Martin, their rookie center, in training camp. Dwayne Brown, their Pro Bowl left tackle, just came back. And now Chris Clark will be pressed into service to go into right tackle. And unfortunately for Clark, he's got to block Von Miller tonight.
Boy. Well, we mentioned during Monday Night Countdown that Gary Kubiak, the Broncos coach, said when we visited with him on Saturday that the key to this game was going to be pressure. These are two terrific defensive teams in terms of bringing pressure, and these are two offensive lines that have had a very difficult time this season, and now losing Newton, that's huge.
It's huge, and it's hard to practice anymore. The practices are a little bit shorter. You're not in pads as much, and to get one right tackle ready to play is hard. To get two right tackles is doubly hard, and this is a big injury for the Texans. Let's just hope that Newton is okay. This forces a lot of contingency plans in this Texan offense, that's for sure.
Chris Clark did start at right tackle last week with Newton out of the game against Indianapolis. They put air casts on both legs of Derek Newton. It took 4 members of the training staff and his fellow offensive tackle Dwayne Brown to help lift him and get him onto that cart. These are proud men, and it's an emotional time, John, when you see a guy who really battles like Derek Newton go down. The crowd now showing their appreciation, as are his Texan teammates.
And don't forget, Dwayne Brown got hurt in week 16 last year. He went through a very difficult offseason rehabbing. He finally comes back, and now they cart off his right tackle and teammate Newton. You're right, Sean. It is a game for mentally tough guys, and this is one of those situations.
It's 4th down and 8 for Bill O'Brien, who celebrated his 47th birthday yesterday. And Nick Novak is on to try a field goal Shane Leckler, the punter, the holder. It looks like it'll be 43-yarder. Really no breeze to speak of in the stadium tonight. He kicked the game winner in overtime against the Colts. It was a pressure kick. He had missed an extra point in regulation time, or else they would have won it in regulation. Instead, they tied it at the very end. 43-yard kick right down the middle, and Houston is first on the board tonight. Of course, Bill O'Brien, the former coach at Penn State, he watched his former team beat Ohio State Saturday night. This Saturday, 3 Big Ten games, all with college football playoff implications. Starting at noon, the great rivalry, number 2 Michigan and Michigan State. Then at 3:30, Northwestern takes on now number 6 Ohio State in Columbus, and at 7, undefeated and 7th-ranked Nebraska in Madison to take on 11th-ranked Wisconsin. All 3 games on ESPN, also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. Bill O'Brien was really excited about that big win for Penn State. A lot of the players he recruited are still an important part of that program.
I really like Bill O'Brien. He's one of my favorite head coaches in the league. Last year, he got on Monday Night Football, heavy underdogs against the Bengals, who are undefeated, and they won a gut-check slugfest game on the road, and that's what he said we need tonight. We're going to have to find a way to win a old-fashioned slugfest game. So far, they're off to a good start.
That was a 10-6 win last year for the Texans. Nick Novak to kick off. And a good kick. Jordan Norwood won't try it. Well, Gary Kubiak, as we mentioned, a Houston native, 8 years as the head coach of the Houston Texans. 3 games under 500 in the regular season during that time. You asked him the other day, extra motivation, revenge, do you want to go back and beat up your own team? He gave kind of a nice political answer, but
he said all the right things. But deep down, he's got 7 assistant coaches that were also fired. And if you're a competitor and you have pride, you want to show your former team you made a wrong mistake. So deep down, they want to get revenge somewhere inside.
Well, you've been there. You got traded by Oakland to Tampa Bay, and then your first year with the Buccaneers, you beat Oakland in the Super Bowl. And Gary Kubiak said he was very grateful to Bob McNair for the opportunity to be a head coach. And I have to say, in my opinion, Bob McNair was pretty patient. 8 years with an under 500 record is a long time.
Yeah, I'll always be thankful to the Raiders. I'll always be thankful for the opportunity. But when we saw those guys in the Super Bowl, I wanted to beat their butt. You know that.
Yes, I do. That's not quite how you phrased it earlier today, but we get the point. Boy, he's had a great start. He's on Demaryius Thomas there.
You're going to have to throw the ball down the field at some point successfully if you're Denver, because A.J. Boye is all over these quick throws. Simeon has been very careful with the football. That's been a positive, but Denver's only scored 29 points in the last 2 games. They've lost them both. They're going to have to do something to get this offense going.
On 3rd and 8. Flush to the right. Simeon, and a nice catch. Demaryius Thomas, and a first down. Flag down, back behind the line of scrimmage.
I think they got Russell
holding.
Okung.
Number 73 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
Wow.
Merciless, excuse me, Sean. Merciless has no mercy in one-on-one situations against anybody, and that's the second first down has been called back because of holding on Russell Okung. Not good enough.
Wasn't much of a grab. You saw Merciless after Okung tugged him. Looking at Carl Cheppers, the referee, and he got the flag. So Okung was called for holding twice a week ago Thursday night at San Diego. One of them in the end zone for a safety. Big money free agent after 6 years with the Seahawks, including a Pro Bowl in 2012. C.J. Anderson fighting, it seems, to retain his status as their featured back, well short of the first down. And here comes a Denver punt.
It's these great pass rushers. Everybody looks at the sack total. It's the penalties that they cause. And Whitney Merciless has done a great job of that in the last 3 years in Houston.
Denver still without a first down. Here's Riley Dixon. Flags down. The kick out of bounds.
That's holding on Denver.
They spotted the ball at the 26-yard line. The referee was starting to trot toward the Denver sideline and then made a U-turn. 45-yard punt if that stands.
Holding kicking team player number 42. That 10-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. First down, timeout.
Casey Crowder, the long snapper out of Iowa, and boos here in Denver for the home team. Houston Texans clearly making an effort to get the ball to their outstanding wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, but watch him come across in motion to keep to leave. Signals to TJ Ward, hey, you take him. And they almost get the pick. And then they isolate him one-on-one with Talib, and he says, I got him. And he's up to the challenge. And then it's Chris Harris on the other side against this double move. They've done a great job with Harris, Talib, and Ward covering DeAndre Hopkins so far.
1st and 10 after the penalty walk-off. The Texans start from the 36. Alfred Blue crossed the 40, banged down by TJ Ward.
Blue's a big back, Sean, and a nice compliment to Lamar Miller. But I like what Houston has done. They've had success on the ground against the Denver Broncos base defense. And that's been the case the last couple weeks. 2nd and 5.
Under 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Broncos showing blitz. Play clock down to 4. Quick throw. Will Fuller back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Chris Harris was there.
It looked like it was an all-out blitz, and you're going to see Osweiler recognize it. He's going to hand signal. Surprised he went to a quick screen to a rookie receiver. That's when you want to find DeAndre Hopkins one-on-one with no help anywhere. 3rd down and 5. Trips formation. They isolate Jalen Strong at the bottom of the screen.
Inside handoff. Blue again across midfield. That play's worked well a couple of times now. TJ Ward chased him out of bounds, but he's to the 42-yard line of Denver with a 16-yard pickup.
That's a great job by Osweiler. He's audibling. Everybody in the stadium thought it was a pass. He lures the pass rush up the field, and he runs a draw play that's well blocked. 2nd big run of the night for the Texan offense.
Tyler Ervin now in at running back to the left of Osweiler. Just a 3-man rush. Osweiler throws. There's Ervin. Dragged down just short of the first down by Dakota Watson, a backup linebacker.
Well, it's the 2nd time tonight Houston's come out in a no-back set, and Wade Phillips has just rushed 3 and used 8 men in zone coverage. That's clearly a departure of what we've seen from this Denver defense. These exotic formations that Houston is running, trying to get their backs against the linebackers, have caused Denver problems.
2nd and 1. Houston at the very least in field goal range with under 3 minutes to go in the first quarter, leading 3-0. Nobody home. Talk about trying to get on the same page.
That can't happen, Sean. You have a $72 million quarterback, and you have one of the best receivers in the world. There's just been too many times this year that Hopkins and Osweiler aren't on the same page. 3rd down and 1.
Osweiler just 3 for 9 for 16 yards. Blue remains the running back. The fullback Jay Prosch in the game. Blue follows Prosch, has the first down. Don't know where Lamar Miller is right now, Coach. He's been one of the busiest running backs in the league, a real workhorse, and he said that's one of the reasons he chose Houston as a free agent, the opportunity to be more involved in the offense. Averaged 12 carries per game in Miami this year, over 20 for the Houston Texans.
Well, when you get a big back that's running the ball well, I wouldn't take him out of the game right now either.
Four carries for 27 yards for Blue. 1st and 10. Houston on the move at the Denver 30. Osweiler for C.J. Fedorowicz. Gain of 4. Shane Ray in his 2nd year out of Missouri. Former SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Made the tackle, and boy, he's done a nice job. They've been without DeMarcus Ware, the future Hall of Famer, for the last 5 weeks.
And that's saying a lot. That's some big shoes to fill. The one thing they do a great job of here in Denver, among other things, is they feature what they do well. And they've got a number of pass rushers, and they cut them loose repeatedly.
Blue bouncing around, couldn't find a hole, and he's swung down by Derek Wolfe in his 5th year out of Cincinnati.
Wolfe can play. They lose Malik Jackson, an excellent pass rusher, but Derek Wolfe can get off blocks. He gets rid of Jeff Allen and stuffs Alfred Blue. That's good work. Last time in this field position, 3rd and 5, Wade Phillips dialed up a blitz. I'd be surprised if he doesn't bring another one.
Under this pressure and the noise, Osweiler seems very poised tonight against his former teammates. 5-man rush with time to throw too long for Will Fuller with Aqib Talib in coverage. T.J. Ward applied the pressure, safety blitz, and he put a hit on Osweiler, and here comes the field goal team for Houston.
He got hit hard. Ward untouched, punishes Osweiler, and here's Novak.
One for one tonight from 43, 14 out of 17 for the season. 2 of those misses were from beyond 50 yards. Veteran kicker in his 9th year out of Maryland, and it's 6-0 Texans. 21 seconds to go in the 1st quarter. Monday Night Football from Denver. Next Monday night will be in Chicago. The Vikings and Sam Bradford taking on the Bears. They'll have Jay Cutler back at quarterback. He's healed from his right thumb injury. That's at 8:15 Eastern time. Coverage begins at 6 with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's, and of course all of the action on ESPN. Streaming live on Watch ESPN. Looking forward to going back to Chicago. Good division game on Monday night, but while we're there all weekend long, the World Series. Congratulations to both the Cubs and the Indians. That should be a lot of fun.
That should be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get there.
You going to buy us some tickets?
I don't think I can afford those, McDonough.
I beg to differ, even though they are quite pricey. Kickoff by Novak out of the back of the end zone. Coach, everybody we talked to, the Broncos headquarters Saturday, talked about the need to start better. It hasn't happened, and now for the season they've been outscored 47-13 in the 1st quarter. Worst 1st quarter team in the NFL.
And that's not what you want to do when you have a 1st-year player at quarterback against the defense like the Houston Texans.
Trevor Siemian under center. C.J. Anderson, the running back. Houston crowding the line of scrimmage. Anderson finds some room outside to the right and squirts ahead for a 1st down.
That's what they need to do. Get this running game going and perhaps set up some play action passes and bootlegs that have been absent from this Bronco offense.
11-yard run. The first down of the quarter for Denver. Anderson hurt at the end of the run. They had 2 first downs called back by penalty. Grabbing at his right leg after he went down to the ground. He'll be helped off. Big part of their win in Super Bowl 50. Rushed for 90 yards and a touchdown in the victory over Carolina. End of the first quarter here in Denver. 6-0 Houston. On to the second quarter we go. Denver led by Trevor Siemian, 7th round pick a couple of years ago out of Northwestern. Pick number 250 out of 256. Flag down as Devontae Booker.
Number 79 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Well, the crowd has had enough of this offensive line. That's the right guard, Michael Schofield. And they had big decision to make, John, after Peyton Manning retired and Osweiler elected to go to Houston via free agency. Interesting choice in Trevor Siemian.
No doubt. They brought in a veteran, Mark Sanchez. They drafted Paxton Lynch in the first round. They talked about Kaepernick, Sam Bradford, perhaps in a trade. But here we are with a 7th round pick out of Northwestern, who's not getting much help from his teammates.
Demarius Thomas fighting for extra yards. Bernardrick McKinney and A.J. Boye yanked him down. Siemian, for much of his career at Northwestern, shared time with Kane Coulter. His senior year, he was the starter. They went 5-7. He hurt his knee toward the end of the year. And he told us he didn't expect to get drafted, whether it was in the 7th round or not. He was looking at a career in the financial world, take advantage of his Northwestern degree. But he kept working out. The Broncos came to work him out at Northwestern, one of only about 5 teams that did. They liked enough of what they saw to bring him in at the end of the draft. And now he's their starter, and he's on target to Emmanuel Sanders. First down Denver to the Houston 47. Charles James made the tackle.
And he's seeing the best looks you can see. It's a double-A gap blitz look. Good pickup by Booker. And you see the poise of Siemian. And I give Gary Kubiak, the head coach, a lot of credit for playing the best player. A lot of coaches would have said, hey, let's go with the veteran. Let's go with the first-round pick. Kubiak was impressed with the performance of Siemian throughout training camp. And so far, he's paid dividends.
Devontae Booker ahead to the 42-yard line. He's protected the ball, and they protected him, John. A lot of short passes. 75% of his throws prior to tonight have been to targets 10 yards down the field or fewer. Only Matthew Stafford has thrown a higher percentage of short passes, and only 6% of Trevor's balls have gone more than 20 yards down the field. That's the lowest percentage of deep ball throws in the league.
Well, you try to be conservative and high percentage with a young quarterback, and a lot of that has to do with their inability to get ahead on first down.
Play fake to Booker, out in the flat. Andy Janovich, the fullback, rookie out of Nebraska. Started at Nebraska in his collegiate career as a walk-on and earned a scholarship.
That's what the running game does, and Gary Kubiak over the years known for these bootlegs. And when you see a rookie quarterback, or excuse me, a first-year player like Siemian fake the ball to a rookie Devontae Booker and throw it to another rookie Janovich, it makes you wonder who the general manager of this team is. Where do they get all these players, Sean? John Elway does a great job, he and his staff.
One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. You almost have to wonder, as Booker carries, is he an even better general manager with the job that Elway has done building this team back up? When he took over in 2011, the Broncos were coming off a 4-12 season. But in John's 5 years running the football operation here, they've won the division all 5 years and won the Super Bowl, obviously, at the end of last season. Brought his longtime friend, former backup quarterback Gary Kubiak, back to Denver to be the head coach. 2nd and 6. Broncos down 6-0. Simeon on target. Demarius Thomas took a pretty good pop from Kareem Jackson.
That's where they got to go with the football. They got to see if Kareem Jackson is healthy. He's missed the last 2 games with a hamstring, and here he's playing very soft in the red zone. That's like routes versus air. Jackson is a very good player. But when you have a defender that's missed 2 games because of a hamstring, you better find out about where he is.
Crowd didn't like that. They thought it was late and out of bounds, but no flag. First down, Denver. 3 catches for Demarius Thomas. Caught 105 last season and 111 in 2014. C.J. Anderson back in after walking off not long ago with a leg injury. To Davion Clowney made the tackle.
I love Clowney. Clowney, the #1 pick out of South Carolina overall, been hurt for 2 years. He's playing base defensive end. I thought for sure he'd be an outside linebacker in Romeo Crennel's defense, but give him credit. He has come in here with J.J. Watt being hurt and played defensive end in a 3-4 alignment. Hard to do. They line him up everywhere.
Now that he's healthy after 2 injury-filled years, proving he was worthy of that pick. Simeon has completed 5 in a row. First down, Demarius Thomas inside the 10-yard line.
Quick decision maker and very accurate with the football. And they're not running one play. They're running a lot of different formations. They're putting Simeon in a position to check off at the line of scrimmage. A lot of trust that Gary Kubiak has in his first year starting.
He's a good athlete. He was a recruited baseball player out of high school in Windermere, Florida. C.J. Anderson, touchdown Denver.
It's a walk-in touchdown. Credit this offensive line. Schofield at right guard. Paradis at center. They take it to the Houston Texans, and if they get this running game going, the sideline sheet of Gary Kubiak will be opened up, and it is quite a sideline sheet.
Yes, it is.
You got more plays in there than I've ever seen.
Brandon McManus adds the extra point that gives Denver its first lead of the night. 10-play drive, 75 yards, 6 first downs along the way, and John Elway a happy man. ESPN's Monday Night Football is brought to you by Dell, by ESPNshop.com, powered by Dick's Sporting Goods, and by the new Bacon King sandwich, 6 strips of crispy bacon piled atop a half pound of 100% beef, only at Burger King. Well, nobody loves music more than John Gruden. Yesterday, a trip to the famous Red Rocks Amphitheater. You had a great time, didn't you?
I did. I love rock and roll. I love music. I love that place. I mean, the Talking Heads, Tesla, the Rolling Stones, Jackson Brown, the Go-Go's. What a place.
Jimi Hendrix. Legendary acts that performed there. The museum there as well. Nice kickoff coverage by the Denver Broncos. Kayvon Webster. He chopped down Tyler Urban short of the 20-yard line. Sellout crowd here in Denver back fully engaged after the Broncos touchdown has given the Super Bowl champs the lead. From the 15, 1st and 10 for Brock Osweiler and the Houston Texans. Fake to Lamar Miller and a deep throw into triple coverage for Will Fuller. Incomplete with Aqib Talib nearest in coverage.
Taking a shot, backed up. Fuller, fastest man I've seen in a while. And Aqib Talib playing lights out so far tonight. 4.32 Fuller ran, had over 100 yards in his first 2 games as a pro, has been silenced tonight.
At 4.32 and the 40 at the combine was the fastest among any wide receiver there. He was a first-round pick, the 21st player taken in the most recent draft. Lamar Miller finds a hole through the middle, gets 7, taken down by Todd Davis, the inside linebacker out of Sacramento State. Brock Osweiler said he wanted to stay in Denver. He thought that was going to be his future after the last season ended, but he was a free agent. He waited a long time. He said Denver didn't call him. When the days went by without a phone call, he started to research other options, good places to go where they needed a quarterback, and the more he looked into Houston, the more attractive that opportunity became. Braxton Miller in the slot to the left of Osweiler, part of that 3-receiver bunch. Under pressure, catch made in traffic by Will Fuller, but short of the first down. He got thrown down by Aqib Talib, and Von Miller reintroduced himself to his old friend Brock Osweiler.
Two great players. Pressure applied by Von Miller and Aqib Talib. All over Will Fuller. 4th down.
Shane Leckler on to punt. 229th straight game, the longest active streak in the NFL. Jordan Norwood taken down by the jersey by Don Jones, who was just signed this week as a free agent out on the street, helping to take the place of some of the injured defenders in the secondary. Our coverage tonight from Skycam is brought to you by American Express. Sean McDonough, John Gruden, Lisa Salters. Monday Night Football from Denver. The Broncos leading 7-6. Looked like Brian Cushing was offside. Flags down. So a deep throw by Simeon. And it's batted away by A.J. Boye, intended for Emmanuel Sanders.
They got Brian Cushing. Offsides on.
Offside. Number 56 defense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Houston thinks they know the snap count of the Denver Broncos. Brock Osweiler informed Romeo Crennel and his defense of how the snap count sounds in Denver. That time, Cushing thought he had it timed perfectly, and Simeon did a nice job changing it.
First penalty of the night against Houston. 3 and outs. Their first 3 possessions were a total of 29 yards. Then the touchdown drive the last time on the field for the Denver offense. And Devontae Booker has another first down to the 45-yard line of Denver.
Taking it to this Houston defense. Take a look at Garcia at left guard, number 76. Gonna pull with Janovich on a counter play. Well blocked. Houston has struggled with their run defense, and rookie Devontae Booker out of Utah showing his stuff.
And showing it again. He brings some juice to the run game. They talked all week about the need to get him more touches, and the crowd's happy to see it. 12-yard gain and a first down to the Houston 43. Booker, rookie out of Utah, played 2 years there. After a couple of years in junior college, he wasn't even sure he was going to play football in college, but he did. Very productive at Utah, more than 2,700 yards rushing, 3rd all-time rusher there, despite the fact he was there 2 years. Here he comes again, fighting for every inch, and he might have another first down.
He did this last week against the Chargers. He came off the bench and he finishes runs. Gonna run a stretch play. Virgil Green at the point of attack. Healthy again. Cuts it back, but watch him move the pile and finish. Love the way he lowers his pads on contact and fights for yardage. And if they keep running the ball like this, I'd be surprised if you don't see another bootleg real quick.
6 for 42 on the ground for Booker tonight. He had 5 carries in San Diego for 46 yards. Getting a breather, so Simeon goes back to the air to Emmanuel Sanders. Down inside the 5-yard line. The touchdown saved by Kareem Jackson.
Excellent work by Gary Kubiak. The offensive line slides to the right. They slip the fullback in the flat. Nobody covered Emmanuel Sanders. Reverse pivot on the money. Good timing and location. 1st and goal. You see number 43, backup safety Corey Moore, pressed into service, struggling.
29-yard gain for Denver. Under 5 minutes to go in the half. Fake to C.J. Anderson. The lob to the back corner of the end zone for Sanders, who was well covered by Kareem Jackson, the 7-year veteran out of Alabama.
That's a great play by Simeon because it's the only play. They're looking for Demaryius Thomas on a hard play action pass. It's not open. He resets and looks for the backside receiver, Emmanuel Sanders, and he throws the ball away. Good no call. Been a very good decision maker, and this will be impressive if they can finish this drive.
They hand it off to Anderson, who was lined up in the fullback position in the eyes, dumped for a loss. Andre Howell, the safety, up near the line of scrimmage. Whitney Merciless on the bottom of the pile.
And that play obviously did not fool anyone. 3rd down and goal. Bottom of the screen. Thomas, big receiver against the injured Kareem Jackson.
Romeo Crennel calling the defense, matching which with Gary Kubiak. A blitz brought by Crennel. Simeon throws a touchdown to Demaryius Thomas.
You're a young quarterback, you have a great defense, and you have 2 outstanding receivers, and you have Demaryius Thomas into the short side of the field against Kareem Jackson playing off coverage, who's been hurt. Touchdown Denver. Too easy.
Brandon McManus for the extra point. So after sputtering out of the gate, Trevor Siemian of the Broncos offense has found a rhythm, back-to-back touchdown drives. 4-yard touchdown pass, Simeon to Thomas. Trevor Siemian alongside the quarterback coach Greg Knapp. Big difference between the first 3 drives when Denver punted 3 times at 29 yards of offense. Simeon threw for 15 of those. In the last 2, he's completed 7 out of 8. They've scored touchdowns on those last 2 possessions. And now Houston puts Braxton Miller back deep to receive the kickoff. And it is returnable. The kickoff from McManus, and Miller in trouble and stopped short of the 15-yard line by Dakota Watson, the veteran out of Florida State.
Been impressed with Simeon the last 2 series, Sean. Throwing the football. He showed good timing on a quick out. Good anticipation to the wide side of the field. Good accuracy to Emmanuel Sanders. Great recognition on the touchdown. This kid is a flatliner. No emotion at all. Kubiak told us he would be the most boring interview you ever did. I am really impressed with the poise of the first-year starter, the defending world champs.
I didn't think he was boring when we talked to him. He wasn't quite as talkative as Brock Osweiler. DeAndre Hopkins, the catch, shoved out of bounds after an 8-yard gain. Matter of fact, Simeon, when we asked him about, did you think you were going to be drafted when you wound up being drafted 250th in the draft out of 256 picks, he said, well, I didn't really think I was going to be drafted when I didn't get the call to go do the John Gruden quarterback camp on ESPN. So I thought that was funny.
That's another mistake I've made. I've made enough of them. Should have had him on. Let's see what Osweiler's made of. Got to stop the bleeding.
Plenty of time, 3.5 minutes to go in the half, and all 3 timeouts. He fires to Will Fuller for a first down out to the 28-yard line. Darian Stewart nearby for Denver.
You know, Brock Osweiler, Sean, for 3.5 years was the scout team quarterback every day at practice going against this defense. Every single day he tried to rip them, and they tried to stop him. What it would mean to him to come back here as the quarterback of the Houston Texans and beat his former teammates, indescribable, and I know these Broncos want none of that.
He said he loved his time here, the organization, the city, the fans, his teammates. He just felt it was a better opportunity in Houston. Really wasn't about the money. He said the money wasn't that much different. He's in trouble, shows his athleticism and slides down. Flag down, now a second flag, a third flag thrown after the play ended. The original flag was back behind the line of scrimmage, and at the end of the run, two officials threw flags.
Holding. Offense, number 74. Unnecessary roughness, number 51 for contacting a down player. Those fouls offset. First down.
Chris Clark, who stepped in for the injured Derek Newton, to tackle the hold, and then Todd Davis, the late hit.
Clark is going to need some help tonight against Von Miller. Derek Newton got hurt earlier in the first half. And Clark will have his hands full at the bottom of the screen against Von Miller if he doesn't get help.
They know each other well. Chris Clark played 5 seasons for the Denver Broncos. Approaching the 2-minute warning. Here's Alfred Blue back across the 30 out to the 33, driven back by Todd Davis and Shane Ray. And that will likely take us to the 2-minute warning. Osweiler and the Texans not in a hurry to get back to the line of scrimmage. At the 2-minute warning on Monday Night Football, Denver leads Houston 14-6. Who do you want to see play in the Pro Bowl game at the end of this season? The 2017 Pro Bowl game in Orlando. Visit NFL.com/Pro Bowl. Vote today. Join the ultimate family experience full of football activities and fandom, with tickets go on sale for that game on October 25th. 14-10. Denver leading 14-6, pardon me. Denver leading Houston with 2 minutes to go in the first half. 2nd and 5 for Brock Osweiler and the Texans at their own 33. All 3 timeouts left. Alfred Blue, another productive run, another first down to the 43-yard line. A flag down behind the play.
Jeff Allen again, I think, for holding.
Holding. Number 79 offense. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
Another shotgun run that Brock Osweiler audibled to. And Derek Wolfe, defensive tackle of the Denver Broncos, is giving Allen fits. Good call. 2nd down and long. Keep an eye on Von Miller at the bottom of the screen against backup Chris Clark. Won't be surprised if you see a screen or a draw.
Osweiler's 7 for 15 passing for just 37 yards. His longest completion 9 yards. He has plenty of time. Throws short. Caught by C.J. Fedorowicz, the 3rd-year tight end out of Iowa. Here's Lisa Salters.
Well, Sean, an update on Lamar Miller. He's been over here on the sidelines for most of this second quarter. We're not getting any injury update from the Texans, but he's been back to the locker room twice, and he's just now put his helmet back on. But for the last couple of minutes, he's just been walking up and down the sidelines with his helmet in his hands. Now I see a trainer checking him out. When I get some official word, I'll let you know.
All right, Lisa, thanks. He's been their best offensive player through the first 6 games of the season.
They got to get him back.
3rd down and 10. Again, the crowd making it very difficult for Osweiler. Throws short. Caught. Ryan Griffin, another tight end, got blasted by Brandon Marshall, and he's well short of the first down.
3rd time tonight in these no-back sets. The Broncos have played zone coverage. You're going to see Brandon Marshall left side of your screen. He's just playing zone coverage, reading the quarterback, and he drills the tight end, Ryan Griffin, short of the sticks. Been playing a lot of man-to-man in recent weeks. And Marshall, who was hurting coming into the game, didn't practice when we saw him Saturday.
They said that was precautionary. He had a tight hamstring, just didn't want to risk blowing it out during their practice. The Broncos have used timeout with 1:04 to go, with the offense now clicking. They'd like to score again before the half. Shane Leckler on to punt. Under pressure, got it off, and it is another bomb, but room for Jordan Norwood. And the ball came out at the end, and the Texans say they have it. They do not. Robert Nelson, the nice play on special teams to trip up Norwood. You go back a long way with Shane Leckler. You had some fun with him on your trips to Denver when you coached Oakland and he was your punter.
13th pick in the 5th round, 2000. One of the greatest days of my life. 17 years ago, we took Janikowski in the 1st round, Leckler in the 5th. They'd come down here as members of the Oakland Raiders. They heard about the altitude. They tried to punt the ball out of the stadium. We lost all our balls. We couldn't warm up. Those guys were unbelievable when they were rookies. Try coaching them.
58-yard punt. On the draw, C.J. Anderson. C.J. Anderson driving the legs. And he's out to the 40-yard line. And Gary Kubiak is going to use his second timeout with 44 seconds to go in the half. A 17-yard run for C.J. Anderson.
Too many yards tonight after contact by these Bronco backs.
Coming up on the Toyota halftime, Chris Berman's final drive. We'll be talking about Sam Bradford. How about Jay Ajayi, the running back for the Dolphins? Back-to-back games of 200 yards plus rushing. The 4th man in the history of the league to do that. And the first take crew will give their opinion on the Vikings loss. Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman. Probably won't be any more salty than Mike Zimmer's impression of his team. Among other things, he said they were soft, which isn't typical of the Vikings in their loss at Philadelphia yesterday. Simeon throws short of Demaryius Thomas. He had company from John Simon, the fine linebacker out of Ohio State.
A lot of movement from this Texan defense. That time they switched right before the snap of the ball, and Simon got home on a stunt. Romeo Crennel knows his run defense is leaking oil. Anderson averaging over 8 yards a carry. Booker's averaging over 7. Crennel's probably hoping they continue to throw it.
Makes sense to run. These are the 2 best pass defense teams in the league entering tonight's game. To Devion Clowney, throws down C.J. Anderson. And the clock is running now, under a half minute to go. 1 timeout left for Denver. 3rd down. Crowd a little restless as they're not in a big hurry here with good field position.
Well, this is what you do when you have a great defense.
We see Anderson frustrated. I think the offense wanted to keep attacking. And the crowd really letting Kubiak hear it now. Chance to at least throw a Hail Mary.
Yes. That's a little conservative, but credit Kubiak and his young quarterback where they put it together for a 14-6 lead.
That's our score at halftime. Denver will get the ball to start the second half. Now here's Chris Berman for the Toyota halftime. Monday Night Football from Denver. The return of Brock Osweiler has been a rough return to Denver. A frustrating night for Bill O'Brien. Denver, after a slow start, got its running game going. Houston had a 6-0 lead, but Denver rallied. Demaryius Thomas, a touchdown reception. And it's 14-6. Denver at the half in this beautiful Mile High City. Sean McDonough, John Gruden, interesting halftime stats. There have been more rushing yards in the first half than passing yards. This is the 107th game of this NFL season. It's only the 6th game this year where at the half there have been more rushing yards than passing yards. Are you surprised this is the way it's going?
Not really surprised. I am surprised, though, that the Texans only have 46 yards passing. Really impressed with how Denver weathered the storm. All those early penalties. Seems like Simeon found some rhythm, and they have really good balance between the run and pass.
And you think, with an eye toward the second half, a big key for Bill O'Brien and the Houston Texans, the health of Lamar Miller. Lisa Salters down there trying to ascertain what's going on with Lamar Miller, and a glum Brock Osweiler would really like to have this man in the backfield to get that offense going for Houston.
Let's see what adjustments the Texans made to their run defense, Sean. Statistically, it hasn't been very good this year. And Denver has found their rhythm running the ball.
Kickoff from Nick Novak. And he won't try to return it, about 7 yards deep. Here's Lisa Salters.
Hey, Sean, well, remember Gary Kubiak talked to us about not wanting to get off to another slow start. Well, the Broncos did that, but he said what changed was they stopped getting the penalties, started moving the ball. I asked him what he liked about what he's seeing from Trevor Siemian. He said he's playing very smart. He said, honestly, though, we're still having trouble with the pass rush, so we've got to run the ball well. He goes, but I like the job that Trevor is doing. An update on Lamar Miller over on the Texans side. Bill O'Brien said he tweaked his shoulder. He thinks he's going to be okay for the second half. Sean?
All right, Lisa, thanks. That would be a big key. First, the Texans on defense. Trevor Siemian hit from behind, and it's an incomplete pass. He got blasted by Whitney Merciless.
And it makes you not want to drop back and hold the ball very long when you see pass rushers like this. Let's see what's wrong with Jadeveon Clowney, but merciless, I should say.
He is like a missile.
He is. He's like a missile beating John Phillips. You probably don't want a tight end in one-on-one with Merciless. Let's see what happened to Clowney. Let's hope he's okay. He has had a string of injuries in his young career.
And some question how much he even wanted to play. You know, they talked about his effort level when he was at South Carolina, and as a result, some wondered if the Texans would make him the first overall pick. But I think he's demonstrating this year, now that he is healthy, he has a great desire and passion to play.
Well, his self-esteem is at another level. He's making contributions. He has been legitimately injured. Let's just hope he can come back from this.
2nd and 10, swung out wide for Demaryius Thomas, trying to shake and bake, and good work done by Jonathan Joseph, the 11-year veteran out of South Carolina, Gamecock like Jadeveon Clowney.
How would you like to be Jonathan Joseph and make this one-on-one tackle with a 230-pound Demaryius Thomas? How these Denver receivers complement each other. The speedy Emmanuel Sanders and the big Demaryius Thomas, and he's being checked out.
Yeah, he limped off.
3rd down is short, and Denver's had over 20 3rd down and 1 or 4th down and 1 situations already this year.
And as you see, Jadeveon Clowney back on the field, coming after Siemian, who throws the opposite side to Emmanuel Sanders, much too high with Jonathan Joseph in coverage, and it's a quick 3 and out for the Denver offense to open the second half.
That's just what they needed. Try to get some field position and see what head coach Bill O'Brien and his quarterback Brock Osweiler talked about at halftime.
Riley Dixon punts. Boy, fair catch made by Tyler Irvin. He'd like to have that one over again. There wasn't anybody nearby. Well, the Texans 4-0 at home. They have struggled on the road, as has their quarterback, in some tough places. In Foxborough against Bill Belichick in New England, they got shut out. He threw for 196 and an interception. Then against Mike Zimmer's Purple Rain defense in Minneapolis, a 31-13 loss. Again, similar numbers passing. 19 for 42, a touchdown and interception, sacked 4 times. Tonight, 9 out of 17 for 46. Hasn't completed a pass longer than 9 yards against Wade Phillips' defense. Lamar Miller is on the field on the first play from scrimmage of the second half for Houston. Miller bounces outside, and a good run. Gain 6 on first down, chased out by Chris Harris.
Osweiler's had some pressure. Denver has brought a lot of different line stunts and repeatedly gotten pressure on Brock Osweiler. Here's Von Miller working against backup Chris Clark, who was pressed into service with the injury to Newton, and tight coverage. Great pass rush. Great combination for Denver, but it's been tough on Osweiler.
2nd down and 3. Bunch to the right. Looking to that single receiver to the left. Now over the middle, a flag down. Fedorowicz the catch for a first down if it stands. T.J. Ward tried to yank the ball away. Brandon Marshall finally got big C.J. Fedorowicz on the ground. 12 yards if it stands. Derek Wolfe is the injured Bronco.
Prior to the pass, holding, number 25 defense. That penalties declined. Result of the play, first down.
Chris Harris, fifth-year man out of Kansas. Both Talib and Harris out of Kansas. Now they take a look at Derek Wolfe. Will step aside. ESPN's Monday Night Football is brought to you by GMC. We are professional grade. By NFL Game Pass. Replay every game this season. Go to NFL.com/Game Pass to start your free trial. And by Dunkin' Donuts. Keep on fueling your football fandom. Scenes from halftime. Bronco legends Jason Elam, the kicker, Simon Fletcher, John Lynch, all inducted into the team's Ring of Fame. Now 31 members of that Ring of Fame. The Broncos organization. Osweiler throws and a flag down. Going deep for a tight end, Steven Anderson, with T.J. Ward in coverage.
That's the matchup that we talked about in the pregame. Put your tight end out there as a wide receiver. Stay away from Talib and Harris. And throw the ball against T.J. Ward and these linebackers in man coverage. Excellent play selection. And Stevenson with a step on Ward. That's a good call. And it's a huge penalty.
36 yards after a 12-yard completion. Osweiler to Fedorowicz, which was the longest pass play of the night for Houston. On the move at the Denver 28, in field goal range at the least. Pressure on Osweiler. He takes off running. Look out from behind. Taken down by Shane Ray, but it's a quality gain. They'll mark him at the 22-yard line for a pickup of about 6.
6'8" quarterbacks, normally not this athletic. You're going to see Shane Ray on the left side of your screen in great pursuit of Osweiler. But it's a 7-yard gain, and I have not seen many quarterbacks at this height. But boy, Osweiler has great athleticism for a big man.
One of the tallest quarterbacks in league history. Says he's a fraction over 6'7". He was a recruited basketball player in high school in Northwest Montana. Lamar Miller taken down short of the first down by Darian Stewart. He was an all-state basketball player at Flathead High School. Was a big fan of the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Mark Few, with so many great teams over the years. Back when Osweiler was in high school, Adam Morrison, a great star. And after his freshman year in high school, Osweiler committed to play college basketball for Gonzaga. He said football was always his first love. And when Arizona State recruited him, he changed direction. Braxton Miller lined up in a wildcat. Handed it off to Lamar Miller for the first down. Whereas Braxton Miller, once a quarterback at Ohio State, transitioned as a fifth-year senior to wide receiver.
Well, he's a two-time Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year. And when you start running these zone reads with Braxton Miller, you're playing with fire. This man is dangerous. And Bill O'Brien told us Miller has been hurt. And there's a little section on the corner of his sideline sheet exclusively for Miller in those short yardage situations. Great call.
Osweiler back in. Alfred Blue, the running back. 1st and 10, Houston. Trouble with the snap, and Osweiler's on it. Boy, what a great get off for Von Miller, but he timed the snap perfectly. And even if Osweiler caught that snap, he was going to be in trouble from the Super Bowl MVP.
Well, this battery is new. They got a first-year center, Greg Nance. It's a good snap. Osweiler took his eyes off it, didn't handle it cleanly, and that is a huge mistake by Osweiler, because 2nd down and 15. This is where Wade Phillips blitzed twice in the first half.
Loss of 5, 2nd and 15. Alfred Blue back inside the 20. And a big play call here for Bill O'Brien with 10 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Looks like they came back with the same play they just threw at T.J. Ward, and that time Denver checked into a zone coverage to stay away from that one-on-one matchup. 3rd down and 9. Pass protection. And a problem. Look for Blue to help Chris Clark at right tackle against Von Miller.
The tight end Griffin, the receiver to the right. 3 wide receivers to the left with Braxton Miller in the slot. Look out from behind. Osweiler got it off, but it's too high. For Blue, they tried to use the running back in the pass game. Shane Ray put the pressure on Osweiler and forced the throw.
Shane Ray just a step late, beating Dwayne Brown. And credit Brandon Marshall for great one-on-one coverage down the field. Denver loaded with pass rushers. How nice would it be to have DeMarcus Ware in the bullpen ready to return?
And they think he might be back as soon as next week. Ware had surgery on a fractured forearm. Here's Nick Novak, 2 for 2 tonight, trying to kick his 3rd field goal. This one from 34 yards, and it's blocked. But there is a flag down. I think they were offside on the Denver side.
I think they're going to get Aqib Talib clearly offsides. He came screaming off that right corner.
Offside. Number 21 defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 4th down.
It's 4th and 9, so it will not be a first down.
You'll see Talib clearly off early.
And even with that, Ryan Griffin might want to try a little harder to block him.
Oh, this altitude. You know, I never won a game in this place, Sean. I was 0-5 as a coach, and the altitude, it is indeed a factor.
So Novak from 5 yards closer, 29-yard try after that game last night. We'll never look away from any field goal again. Kick is good. It's a 5-point game. 9:09 to go in the third quarter on Monday night. Coverage from Skycam brought to you tonight by American Express. Sean McDonough, John Gruden, Lisa Salters, our producer. Jay Rothman, our director. Chip Dean, our terrific crew. Delighted to have you with us from this gorgeous city on a beautiful night in Denver, Colorado. Defending Super Bowl champs. The Broncos leading Houston 14-9. Jordan Norwood brings back the Novak kickoff. And a very nice tackle by Jay Prosh. Trevor Siemian leaned heavily on the running attack tonight. They have not scored a touchdown in the third quarter all year. Perhaps they can change that when we come back. Back in Denver, where the Broncos are still looking for their first touchdown in the third quarter this season. Through 6 games, just 6 points. They're the only team in the league, as there's a flag down before the snap.
Boy, this play is driving me crazy, Sean. The defense gets into the
False
neutral
start.
zone.
Number 71, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
The offense is entitled to protect themselves, and then the officials have to sort it all out. But this one's going against Denver. Take a look at it. Texans are going to jump into the neutral zone. They get Stevenson for moving. Another big penalty on this Denver offensive line.
He was called for 2 false starts and unnecessary roughness in San Diego last week. Just to finish the point we're making about the third quarter. There are only 2 teams that have not scored a touchdown in a particular quarter this season. The Broncos have not scored a touchdown in the third quarter at all this year. The Seahawks have not scored a touchdown in the third quarter. Every other team in the league has scored at least 1 touchdown in every quarter this year. You got that? I probably could have let that go with hindsight, but if you're into statistical oddities, there you go. 8.5 minutes to go, third quarter. Four-man rush for Trevor Siemian. Swings it out to Devontae Booker. He's tackled by A.J. Boye. Back at the 20-yard line. They'll need 10 yards on third down to keep this possession moving.
Boye has played extremely well for the Texans tonight. And third down and 10. Merciless has been very effective. This is the time and the place that Romeo Crennel likes to bring 5, create some one-on-ones up front, see if his front 4 can do some damage.
Empty backfield. Siemian throws too far in front of Demaryius Thomas. Jonathan Joseph had the coverage. And the third quarter woes continue for the Denver Broncos and Gary Kubiak.
Second time this half on third down, they've thrown an outside breaking route to the wide side of the field, and that's something that Denver doesn't do. Most of their targets are between the numbers, and last 2 third downs, they've been shut out.
Riley Dixon on the punt, and they got very close to blocking it. It's a short kick, and Irvin makes the fair catch after a 35-yard punt under duress. 14-9 midway through the third quarter. Denver has the lead at home. My distinguished partner John Gruden teamed up with USA Football to conduct the clinic for players from 3 Denver area high schools. It was at the Broncos practice facility in nearby Englewood, Colorado Saturday. Coach went through a lot of drills. He had, of course, running Spider 2Y Banana. At the end of the clinic, Monday Night Football, Coach Gruden, the NFL, made donations to each of those schools. Another fun day.
Fun day. Great day.
1st and 10. Good field position for Houston. Trailing by 5. Brock Osweiler pursued by Von Miller. Looked like he was being held. No flags down.
Von Miller pushing the pocket, forces Osweiler out of the pocket, and Derek Wolfe.
Maybe he was doing the holding. That's
Von Miller. Excuse me, Sean. It was great to see Von yesterday. He even helped us make a contribution to youth football. Appreciate the All-Pro Super Bowl MVP.
We visited with you on the bus, though. You sent a donation along to his high school in DeSoto, Texas. I'm sure they appreciate that. Alfred Blue took a hit, but went ahead for a couple more yards. Bounced off the hit from Darian Stewart.
Take a look at Von Miller making a contribution to youth football, youth sports, sticking his name up there. Encourage all the coaches, all the players in the NFL. Keep the game strong. What a great player he is and a great person. That's a combination hard to find.
That's what Wade Phillips said. As great a player as he is, he appreciates what a tremendous person Von Miller is. Big 3rd and 1 upcoming and a timeout called by Denver. A little confused on defense. 6:53 to go, third quarter. Monday Night Football from Denver. Back in Denver, 6:53 to go, third quarter. 3rd and 1 for Houston. They're 2 for 2 on third down and ones tonight, both times rushing. This time throwing. DeAndre Hopkins got just enough, lunged for it. Chris Harris the tackle. First down, Texans at the Bronco 46.
You think Wade Phillips has confidence in these corners? I mean, there's nobody back here. It's all out blitz, one-on-one coverage against one of the best receivers in the world. They throw a one-step hitch, and Chris Harris makes the tackle. But Wade Phillips has so much trust and confidence in these great corners. That's amazing.
He thinks both Harris and Talib so great they don't travel them with outstanding receivers from their team. They basically go left and right.
Osweiler's going to have to make some plays. They have had a lot of miscommunications and breakdowns when they've crossed midfield tonight. They got to finish a drive.
Let's a look back at the first quarter where we believe Lamar Miller was hurt. Took a shot on that right shoulder. 2nd and 8 for Bill O'Brien. Five and a half to go, 3rd quarter. Out quickly and off target. Brian Griffin, the intended receiver. And John, when you watch the film of Brock Osweiler, there are a lot of those kinds of throws.
You got to make these plays. They blow a coverage. Ryan Clark is still running. Take a look at him in the flat. Nobody covers him. It's going to be a huge play. They have shot themselves in the foot. That's the 4th time they failed to make plays when plays are there to be made.
3rd down and 8. Osweiler's 11 for 22. He's thrown for just 60 yards passing tonight. Here comes a blitz. Osweiler steps up through the middle of it and extends for the 1st down. Great effort by the former Denver Bronco, getting away from a bunch of his former mates, and finally Chris Harris got enough of them to make the tackle.
Oh, I love it. It's a blitz. He avoids it. He says, if we can't complete a pass, I'll get it myself. Huge 1st down. The ball's coming out at the very end, and Brock Osweiler against his former teammates. Don't miss this finish.
Bill O'Brien talked last night about his athleticism, his excellent feet. Alfred Blue, nice bounce to the right, and then he got blasted and coughed up the football. And Denver has it. It floated right into the arms of Todd Davis. The 1st turnover in the game for either team.
Great defenses make great plays in big moments, and that's what Wade Phillips told us he loves about this defense the most. When they need a play, they find a way to make it. Darius Stewart, T.J. Ward, both apply the hit on Alfred Blue, and Davis has the recovery. Where is Lamar Miller when you need him?
Houston was poised to score. Now it's Denver. Devontae Booker took the toss and took it for about 9 yards around right end.
Devontae Booker is making a name for himself here in Denver. He's like a bowling ball crashing down the lane. Impressive young back out of Utah.
52 yards rushing on just 8 carries. A.J. Boye is still down. They cannot afford another injury in the secondary. He's had an excellent night tonight. Limping off. Apparent problem with his left leg.
Toss the ball around the edge in this league, and you have a back like Booker running full speed against some of these undersized corners. It's a problem. 2nd and short. Good time for a bootleg if you're Denver.
10 tackles tonight for Boye. Out of the game for a moment. C.J. Anderson back in at running back. He breaks tackles. Well, he's in a battle to remain their #1 running back clearly now with Devontae Booker. And a nice run by Anderson to the 45 and a 1st down. Boye is heading for the Houston dressing room.
Well, with Vince Wilfork not on the field, take it to rookie DJ Reader in the middle of this Texan defense. A lot of this yardage on the ground tonight has been no nonsense between the tackles. Credit the offensive line of the Broncos.
The officials have stopped the play. No indication of why just yet. It's Corey Moore. And
looks like the concussion.
Yep. Somebody
protocol
spotted.
Yep. Somebody upstairs did a nice job of recognizing a player in trouble and stopped the game.
Great example of the process working. So Lonnie Ballantyne will come in. He was just promoted off the practice squad this week with the injuries that they've had. And there's a look at Moore's involvement at the end of the run. 9-yard gain by C.J. Anderson. There's Ballantyne, third-year man out of Memphis. Big safety at 6'3", 225 pounds. Anderson has running room outside to the right. First down, much more. Shoved out of bounds by Andre Hal in Houston territory all the way to the 36-yard line.
Doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but Trevor Siemian, he read that blitz all the way. Saw free safety blitz on the left side of the screen. He says, hey, let's run the ball to the right, away from all these Texans. Well blocked, well executed. Great recognition. And I love this 32, Andy Janovitz. How about that block?
Denver running game going tonight. They're averaging 7.9 yards per carry. They had not rushed for more than 90 yards in any of the previous 4 games. Booker back in, taken down by John Simon. We're down to 2.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Denver driving up by 5.
And because of this running game, the 8-man front by the Texans is almost down after down. And they're just daring Siemian to throw the football. But look at these two backs, Sean.
Anderson averaging 9 yards per carry. His yards per carry way down this year. First 3 years in the NFL, CJ averaged 4.8 yards per carry. But this year that was down to 3.5 entering tonight. Big reason why they were looking at playing Booker more. Pressure didn't get to Siemian. Deep throw caught inside the 5 by Emmanuel Sanders.
It's a matter of time. Gary Kubiak can't help himself. You run the ball this well, you're going to invite loaded boxes, and it's going to be one-on-one coverage, and you have great players on the outside. And Siemian with a beautiful back shoulder throw to Emmanuel Sanders, who has done it well for a long time. And anything can happen in these goal line situations. Keep an eye on number 53, James Ferentz, who's just checked in as a fullback. We got a substitution problem and a timeout by Denver.
Eddie Pleasant upset, came off the field. They told him to get back out there, but he has time to get back out there as Denver with the personnel issues. Has used its second timeout, only one left for the Broncos.
It's hard to defend balance, and when you look at Siemian, he's outplayed the $70 million man tonight. He's really done a great job audibling, throwing the football, protecting the ball, and statistically he has the upper hand tonight. You got to credit the job Gary Kubiak, quarterback coach Greg Knapp have done with this young trigger.
Yep. And you have to credit him for protecting the football. Again, it's not real flashy. As you mentioned, we talked to Trevor Siemian. He's not real flashy, but he's 4-1 as a starter.
Gary Kubiak on his sideline sheet has a lot of goal line plays. Keep an eye on Sam Brio at the top of the screen. He's an extra offensive lineman. They'll throw it to him.
This is James Ferentz who went in motion. Janovich, the fullback, driving to the goal line. No signal of a touchdown yet. And they're going to mark him down short. James Ferentz, the backup center, number 53 in there in the goal line situation, the son of the outstanding University of Iowa head coach Kirk Ferentz. He played for his dad at Iowa.
Inches.
Gary Kubiak, looking at the replay, thinks that was a touchdown. Final minute of the third quarter. Are they going to score their first touchdown in a third quarter this year? Devontae Booker, touchdown.
A lot of good stuff on that drive. Audibles, running game, and a power play with left guard number 76, Max Garcia, and Janovich, the fullback 32, escorting Devontae Booker for 6.
His first NFL touchdown, the rookie out of Utah.
And a fumble by Alfred Blue, Sean. Texan red zone offense has been miserable all year, and Bill O'Brien knows it.
After the fumble recovery, 72 yards in 7 plays for Denver. Brandon McManus adds the extra point. And Denver leads 21-9. 40 seconds to go in the third quarter. And a lot of work to be done for Brock Osweiler, who did it last week at home against Indianapolis. They were down by 14 with under 3 minutes to go. Rallied to win in overtime. They did almost nothing. The Colts came into that game 30th in the league in total defense. Houston had 9 points on the scoreboard with under 3 minutes to go. What a play by Lamar Miller, the 10-yard touchdown, and then C.J. Fedorowicz with little resistance from the Colts defense. Then in overtime, Jalen Strong's 36-yard catch set up the winning field goal by Nick Novak. And that was a big mood changer, particularly for Osweiler, because the fans were booing Osweiler and the Texans for a lot of that night.
Well, they're not playing Indianapolis tonight.
No.
They're playing a much better defensive team that is very opportunistic. When Denver gets a turnover, they convert it into touchdowns. That's the 8th time this year, Sean, Denver has gotten a turnover and turned it into a touchdown. Osweiler, he's going to have to really play great with his teammates to have a chance in this one, because this is the world champions at their place.
Brandon McManus. No return for Fuller. After we're finished here in the Mile High City, keep it right here for Sports Center at night with Scott Van Pelt. He'll have the post-game wrap-up, news, and highlights from the days in sports. Sports Center at night with SVP kicking off right after our game from Denver here on ESPN. Also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN.
Got to get DeAndre Hopkins the ball. And if that means going after their strength with your strength, so be it.
Targeted Hopkins 8 times. He's had 3 catches. They targeted him 15 times last week. He caught 9. Swing pass to Lamar Miller, who's been in and out of the game tonight. He's ahead that time for 4. Tackled by Von Miller.
Von Miller in their base defense doesn't always rush. Sometimes he's playing off in coverage. Here he reads out of the rush. He sees the swing pass, and that's his great effort. Second down is 6.
Final seconds of the third quarter. Denver crowding the line of scrimmage. Miller trying to find a crease. Gets a yard before he's driven back. And that will end the third quarter. The Broncos determined to shut down their former teammate. They've done it through 3 quarters. They lead Houston 21-9. No other night is Monday night. Brock Osweiler left Denver for 4 years, $72 million from the Houston Texans, $37 million guaranteed. He's had a rough return to Denver tonight. Thrown for just 64 yards through 3 quarters. His team down 21-9 as we go to the fourth quarter. 3rd down and 5. Houston from their own 30. 4-man rush, and the ball slips out of his hand. No whistle yet. And there's a flag down. They have ruled it an incomplete pass.
The ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense and dropped at this point. It is Denver's ball.
Well, we mentioned there was no whistles, and everybody was just standing around thinking it was an incomplete pass. The ball goes forward.
That's a fumble, but what's the flag? Unbelievable. Osweiler, who mishandled a snap earlier in the third
There's no
quarter.
foul for ICT on the play.
They pick up the flag. Chris Harris wound up with the ball, but he and everybody else on the field apparently thought this is just an incomplete pass. We didn't hear any whistles. Harris didn't take off toward the end zone, or Denver would have had a defensive touchdown.
Unbelievable. Bill O'Brien can't believe it. You drop a shotgun snap, you fumble the football, and now your quarterback has it slip right out of his hand.
The ruling of a fumble is under review.
Well, they're going to review it. Ruling on the field, a fumble recovered by Denver. Bill O'Brien, Brock Osweiler waiting for the ruling. Here's Carl Cheffers.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Denver.
So Houston loses fumbles on successive possessions. Jerry Austin, longtime NFL official, two-time referee in the Super Bowl game. Jerry, was it a fumble? And tell us what happened here when the play just stops.
First, whenever his arm goes forward, does he have control of the ball? Obviously, he doesn't. I think they could have confirmed this. Is there an immediate recovery? And there is. So when there's an immediate recovery, it's their ball. If that player doesn't make any attempt to do anything, it's dead there.
C.J. Anderson, the first carry after the turnover. Is there any standard by how long he has to be standing there doing nothing before the officials roll the play dead?
Well, it's a read on the official's part. Is he attempting to make a play? If he's not, you just kill him.
Done. So 2 fumbles here in the second half for Houston, and now the Texans in a heap of trouble. Down 21-9, 14 and a half to go. Second down, 8, Denver. On the edge of the red zone. Trevor Siemian hands it off again. C.J. Anderson running with renewed vigor tonight. Brian Cushing made the tackle a yard shy of the line to make.
No nonsense downhill running. And they are taking it to the Texans. There's Vince Wilfork at center, working against Matt Paradis. Good double team at the point of attack, and on 3rd down and 2, Denver using a late substitution. They've got to hurry. They might need another timeout.
They've already used 2 of their 3 here in the second half. 3rd down 2. Play clock at 2, and they snap it. 5-man rush, didn't get that close to Siemian. Catch made. Emmanuel Sanders. 1st and goal, Denver just outside the 5-yard line.
And they continue to go after Kareem Jackson, who's clearly not himself. Sanders got him on the last possession. This time they get him again on 3rd and short. Emmanuel Sanders, extremely quick and no nonsense after the catch. Very good pro receiver, and Jackson not himself after the layoff with the hamstring.
Boye's back in the game for the Houston defense. He had cramps. Brian Cushing with some penetration to stop that play for a 1-yard gain.
And Sean, all the injuries that they've had at safety. Remember, Quentin Demps not here tonight. Backup safety Corey Moore gone. Kevin Johnson, very important nickelback on IR. We've seen A.J. Boye leave the game. They're depleted, and Denver is making them pay for it.
Devontae Booger cut it back toward the middle, ran into Jadeveon Clowney. He got to the 3-yard line. 3rd and goal from there for the Broncos.
Give Clowney credit. Still playing very hard. Got dinged up early in the game. But when you're on the backside of some of these running plays, don't stay blocked for very long. It's an excellent job. How about that athleticism? 3rd down and goal.
Big play here for the Houston defense. Huge difference between a touchdown and a field goal right here for Denver. They bring pressure. And Siemian lofts it. It's caught as it inbounds. Jordan Norwood, no. Incomplete pass with Charles James trying to keep up with him in coverage.
What a throw by Siemian under fire. See if Norwood got these 2 feet in.
Nope.
No, he did not. Simeon threw a perfect pass under intense pressure.
Good call. Been a very well officiated game tonight. Here's Brandon McManus. First field goal attempt of the night. Good from 22 yards. ESPN's Monday Night Football is brought to you by Applebee's new wood-fired grill steaks. Just $9.99 for a limited time. By Toyota, let's go places. By Napa Auto Parts, keep your ride running longer, stronger with Napa know-how. And by Coors Light, whatever your mountain, climb on. Have to love this city. What a wonderful place it is. They love their Broncos, and they love the way this one's going tonight. And after back-to-back losses, Denver 4-2 on the year, leading 24-9 as Brandon McManus kicks off. Will Fuller's going to try it. Ooh, and he gets plastered at the 13-yard line. The coverage has been excellent all night long. Corey Nelson again a factor covering kicks.
Hasn't been good tonight for Brock Osweiler. Early in the game, Will Fuller drops a pass. Then he's not on the same page with his great receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. Can't handle a shotgun snap. And then the ball just slips out of his hands after he misses Ryan Grant wide open. But one mistake after another. A lot of pressure building on Brock Osweiler to prove that he's worth the big money contract the Houston Texans gave him.
They're coming after him with a blitz. He dumps it off short. Juggling catch made by Ryan Griffin, one of their tight ends, a 9-yard gain. The tackle by Corey Nelson. One interesting part of the story as we look at Rick Smith, the general manager, they never met with Brock Osweiler. It was the beginning of free agency. They wanted to move quickly. They were in dire need of a quarterback. They had identified him as a great option. And Osweiler never went to visit them, never saw their facilities. He said, I talked to DeAndre Hopkins. We share the same agent. I did a lot of research. I knew I was going to like Houston. Osweiler throws. Good catch. First of the night for Jalen Strong. Bradley Roby had the coverage. But does that strike you as odd? You're going to give $72 million to a guy you haven't met?
Yeah, it does. I remember when we signed Rich Gannon. Gannon came to visit me. He wanted to see what I was all about. But when you...
And he still came?
Can you believe it? Yeah, but it's very uncommon that kind of transaction happens. But when you involve agents and timing of free agency, anything can happen. Let's see if Osweiler can put together a miracle finish like he did last Sunday night.
Well, we know there are a limited number of quarterbacks, and if you don't have one, you can't win. Deep throw for Hopkins, and again, well covered by Chris Harris with Darian Stewart.
If you're going to make that throw, you have to give Hopkins a chance to go up and make a play or draw the penalty. Second time tonight, they went with Fuller earlier in the game against this coverage, and this time they use Hopkins, but put the ball in a position where Hopkins can go up and either make a play, which he's been known to do, or perhaps draw a pass interference call.
Only 3 catches for Hopkins for 17 yards. 2nd and 10. Texans from their own 31. Down 24-9. Inside handoff. Lamar Miller spun out to the 35. They'll need 6 on 3rd down.
Once again, it's the coverage of Aqib Talib and Chris Harris on the outside. They have been able week in and week out to meet the challenge of the best in football. And on 3rd down at the top of the screen, it's trips at the bottom, and Talib and Hopkins one-on-one together. You got to keep feeding them and give Hopkins a chance. He's the only one that can make a play, it appears.
Miller after Osweiler threw it over the head of Lamar Miller.
4th quarter pass rush. I think it's as important as any ingredient in championship football. That's a spin move that Von Miller has perfected after meeting with the great Dwight Freeney. And when you look at Von Miller's sacks, the majority of them come in the fourth quarter, and that's what separates him, in my mind, as the best in football.
40% of his career sacks in the fourth quarter. Overtime, Leckler, contact as he got the punt off, and there is a flag down. Shaquille Barrett made contact with Shane Leckler.
There's no foul for running into the kicker. The ball was tipped. First down, timeout.
Yes, it was by Barrett, and then he ran into Leckler. Gary Kubiak and the Denver Broncos try to keep pace with the Oakland Raiders in the AFC West. The Raiders are 5-2. With a win tonight over Houston, the Broncos would also be 5-2. Denver's won the last 5 AFC West Division titles, matching Oakland's mark of 5 straight AFC West titles back in the early and mid-70s.
I have sideline sheets, but I never had one with all the plays Gary Kubiak has. I brought one of mine from home. I got my sideline sheet. Look, here's one we had against the Saints. I got my runs, my passes, my short yardage, goal line, play action, third down, red zone. Look at all this stuff I have on here. Look at your, what is that?
Find it all?
What do you got? I mean, yours is bigger than Kubiak's.
This is the menu for the post-game back at the hotel. Do you think my chart is bigger than Gary Kubiak's?
Wow. He's got so many different plays for so many different situations, and I don't know what he does with that sideline sheet. Look at him. The ones in blue, I don't know what they mean. He's got pink. He's got some highlighted. I went through my sideline sheet. All the ones I highlighted in red were the ones I really liked. See, I liked all these plays. And then I got with the quarterbacks, and I had them write down the ones that they liked. But you got to go over the sideline sheet. You got to be very situational. Some people have more plays for these situations than others. And you got a lot of plays for every situation on yours.
Can't tell the players without a spotting board. Wow. Devontae Booker again. Boy, he runs hard. He's across midfield. And Ardrick McKinney made the tackle.
Rookie. Been impressive. Might be a grinder candidate. And Janovich, number 32, as his escort, hasn't been bad either. First-year player under center. Rookie fullback, rookie tailback. And a lot of contributors that John Elway found in free agency. It's a credit to how they put this roster together year in, year out.
And they've drafted exceedingly well with John Elway here. Signed the right free agents. C.J. Anderson, nifty move. Looked like a loss. Instead, he got ahead for a couple. And, of course, it's not just John Elway, but the scouting staff. To John's right, your to left, that's Matt Russell, the director of player personnel, very highly regarded. His name will undoubtedly come up this winter for GM jobs. Terrific player at Colorado, just down the road, won the Butkus Award. And how about those Colorado Buffs? Bowl eligible at 6-2. Mike McIntyre doing a great coaching job. You know, they're thinking about winning the Pac-12 now, not just going to a bowl game for the first time since 2007. Simeon fires, dropped. Demarius Thomas with Charles James in coverage.
Got to make that catch. Backup corner in the game against the great Demarius Thomas. And if there's one thing Thomas hasn't done well consistently, it's catch the football. He's too good a receiver to not make that play. He's had a number of drops.
Yeah, he had 9 last year, third most in the NFL. Only Mike Evans and Amari Cooper dropped more. That's his 4th drop of this year.
That's a game ender there.
Yeah. Bold call on 3rd and 2 as well, with the running game going well. Will Fuller the fair catch of a Riley Dixon punt. 36-yard punt. Von Miller's sack production increases as the game goes along. 10 career sacks entering tonight in the first quarter. 13 in the second. 17 and a half in the third. Then the fourth quarter is Miller time. 26 sacks.
Wow.
Most in the NFL in the fourth quarter since he came into the league in 2011 as the 2nd overall pick of the draft behind Cam Newton. Of course, he got after Cam Newton to earn Super Bowl MVP honors with his 2.5 sacks in the Super Bowl, 2 forced fumbles, the 10th defensive player to be Super Bowl MVP. Brock Osweiler throws quickly, caught. Will Fuller to the 21-yard line. Aqib Talib made the tackle with help from Will Parks.
Yeah, everybody talks about the 2-minute offense, the 2-minute offense. It's the fourth quarter pass rush that eliminates the 2-minute offense, and he is a closer. I used to save a timeout for this situation just to rest Warren Sapp and Simeon Rice. They were our closers. None better than Von Miller playing the game now.
No sacks tonight. Both quarterbacks making an effort to get the ball out very quickly. C.J. Fedorowicz bounced across the boundary by T.J. Ward.
Let's take a look at Von Miller tonight. Here he is coming off the right side. Most of the time you've seen a tight end over there widening that corner. Got to hurry up if you're Houston. I'm shocked at how much time they're taking. Down 15.
They were down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, started that comeback, and they took the ball over with just 7 minutes to go. But on the road tonight against a different foe, DeAndre Hopkins the catch, first down, 34-yard line, 5:18 to go, all 3 timeouts for the Texans.
Good time to substitute. Wade Phillips brings in Billy Wynn, number 97. Derek Wolfe, hurt earlier in the game, is back in there. No, he is not. It's Jared Crick, number 93.
Osweiler dumps it down. Lamar Miller out of bounds, no gain. Aqib Talib rallied quickly. Under 5 minutes to go now.
You have a 6'8" quarterback with a big arm. You have receivers that can run. Hopkins, the speedy Will Fuller. And we just have not seen the ball completed over 5-10 yards down the field tonight, Sean. Gonna have to push it sooner or later.
Quarterback with a big arm, receivers who can run like Fuller and Hopkins. Fuller's speedier, but nothing doing down the field tonight. And that ball dropped by Ryan Griffin with Todd Davis nearby.
A lot of zone coverage right now by Denver. But look at the hit chart tonight, 10 yards or less. I mean, every pass has been a dink or a dunk. Nothing down the field even close. And on 3rd down and 10, I think Houston's in 4-down territory without a doubt. Hopkins once again at the top, trips formation at the bottom.
And the crowd wants these Broncos to get after Osweiler. 5-man rush. Flushed from the pocket. Miller after him. He throws incomplete. Broken up by Talib, who has certainly had the upper hand in the battles with DeAndre Hopkins tonight and lets him know about it.
Keep Talib and Von Miller putting on quite a show. But look at Von Miller on this pass rush and the sheer effort and determination. And to keep Talib, when that quarterback scrambles, you have to plaster to your man. And Talib has been all over the place tonight. He's been on a mission. 4th down and 9.
And as you predicted, Coach, they are going for it. Timeout. Bill O'Brien. With 4:43 to go. Let's head down to the sideline. Here's Lisa.
Yeah, Sean, well, I have an injury update for you on Texans right tackle Derek Newton, who was carted off earlier in the game in the first half. We saw he had air casts on both of his legs. ESPN has now learned that the Texans fear that Newton has torn the patella tendons on both knees.
No.
Now, he did have a similar torn patella tendon on one of his knees back at the end of the 2012 seasons. Now they believe he has torn both knees. John.
Sorry to hear that, Lisa.
Our hopes and prayers are with you, Derek.
Likely the last chance here for Osweiler and the Houston Texans. Down by 13, 4:43 to go, 4th and 10. From their own 35. Maneuvering the traffic. Here comes the blitz, and it's batted down by Derek Wolfe.
Wolfe is a real pro. He's an excellent inside pass rusher, and he read Osweiler's delivery all the way. He and Von Miller work hand in hand on that left side, and Houston has a long way to go with their pass offense. 34 passing attempts, just over 100 yards. Got to credit the defending world champions. Gary Kubiak, he tweaked his practice schedule. They had a couple extra days to get ready, and it sure showed tonight.
Denver takes over on downs. On first down, C.J. Anderson forward to the 31-yard line, and we're going under 4.5 minutes left.
When you look at the Texans, there have been some good moments at home. They're 4-0, but they just have found no offense at all in these 3 road defeats, Sean. They are going to have a long flight home tonight trying to figure out how to fix their road problems. And I know they play good teams, but they can do better than this.
Part of it's the schedule. At New England, at Minnesota, at Denver. There are 3 road games against 3 of the best teams in the league with outstanding defenses. C.J. Anderson, the ball carrier. And for Brock Osweiler, coach, this is just career start number 14 in the NFL. But would you be concerned if you were the Texans, having invested all this money, really banking your future on this young man, by what you've seen of his play so far? Is he still trying to get on the same page with his teammates?
Well, I am concerned because I just haven't seen the consistency yet. And we're nearing the midpoint of the season. They have been beaten soundly by good teams on the road, and a lot of it has to do with inconsistent play from their quarterback.
Anderson blasts ahead for another first down. Well, clearly they needed stability, Houston, at the quarterback position. Their first 2 seasons under Bill O'Brien, they used 6 different starting quarterbacks. Fitzpatrick, Malik, Keenum, Hoyer, Yates, and Weed from 18 and 14 combined in the regular season. They got shut out in the playoff game with Hoyer at quarterback against Kansas City. You could see, the disappointment in Bill O'Brien's face during that game. You called that game. Yep. So they went out looking around, and they felt like this was their best option.
Yeah, I remember that game like it was yesterday. And I mean, it's 30-0. There was a lot of desperation. Bill O'Brien is an excellent coach. You go 9-7, 9-7. You make the playoffs. You have a great defense, but you just can't find a quarterback, and they don't fall out of the sky. And they made a move out of desperation. Let's hope it works out for them.
They also felt they needed more team speed. They got Lamar Miller. They drafted Will Fuller, who can fly. That was another goal, not just improving the quarterback position. It's early, and there are certainly some obvious positive skills that Osweiler has. But the one thing that jumped out at me watching your film study this week, Coach, is the inconsistency in the accuracy.
Well, it's a new offense for him. He's got a lot of new receivers, and Bill O'Brien in year 3 of his program has a lot of new people in critical places. They need time on the practice field. They need reps on the game field. It's going to be painful at times. They got to get better if they want to get back to the playoffs in advance when they get there.
Devontae Booker, the ball carrier. C.J. Anderson's gone over 100 yards tonight with 107 on 16 carries. So even with what is likely to be a loss tonight here in Denver, the Texans will retain sole possession of first place in the AFC South. They'll be 4-3. That might be the worst division in the NFL, and the Broncos might be playing in the best. Every team in the AFC West will have won this weekend if Denver goes on to win this one.
I think there's a lot of football left to be played. So much inconsistency week in, week out. I do know that Denver is going to be a hard out because of this defense and because of Gary Kubiak and his ability to get things out of any quarterback.
Great developer of quarterbacks, excellent play caller. They've rushed for 190 yards tonight now as Booker goes forward, and this will take us down to the 2-minute warning.
Kubiak can check his ego at the door. He could care less about statistics. And if he needs to run the ball, protect his young quarterback while they learn, he'll do that because his defense is really good.
They have not turned it over tonight. They have not yielded a sack. 2-minute warning.
Everybody, I'm Steve Levy. 2-minute warning here in Denver. Randy, Charles, and Matt will join me coming up on the GMC postgame report. We'll break down the game. And Scott Van Pelt looks forward to the World Series, the NBA season. And in a rivalry game, what happens if you don't pick up the trophy at the end of the game? Sean and John, take it away.
All right, Steve. Thank you. Steve has been enjoying his time here in Denver this weekend.
What's he been doing?
He's got some buddies who have come out from beautiful New England to enjoy Colorado.
He's a good man.
Your former quarterback, Brian Greasy, actually bought Steve dinner the other night here in Denver.
Got a lot of money.
Bronco and Tampa Bay Buck, Brandon McManus. I'm sure Steve will not put in for meal money for Saturday night. McManus is kicked good. It's 27-9 Denver with 1:57 to go. George Gotzi with some last instructions for Brock Osweiler. We talked about what John Elway's done. Since he took over, the team that was 4-12 the year before he arrived at the second best record in the league behind the Patriots. They're one of 4 teams to make the playoffs in each of the last 5 seasons. 35 Pro Bowl selections during his time, the most in the league. He has signed 9 free agents who wound up making the Pro Bowl with the Broncos. That's the most free agents signed by a team over the last 5 years that have wound up making the Pro Bowl. He has done, by any standard, a tremendous job, and he hired the right coach.
He sure has. And he's got quite a restaurant here. I got to eat at that restaurant. Elway Steakhouse Saturday night. Chip Dean, Jay Rothman, our director, producer. He's got a lot going on.
Did you pay?
No, I did not. I usually
don't. Yes.
Pull out those alligator arms
Yes,
when it's
you do.
closing time, you know.
McManus kicks off. Out of the back of the end zone, no chance for Will Fuller. Well, Denver looked like the best team in the league off the Super Bowl experience of last year when they came out of the gates 4-0, but that performance against Atlanta home and then at San Diego last week had a lot of people around here concerned. They're back looking like the Broncos after this effort tonight.
You know, last year when they won the Super Bowl, Sean, they had 2 separate 2-game losing streaks. A champion avenges a loss with a great performance, and Von Miller, Aqib Talib, this defense, tip your hat to them.
They're coming after Osweiler again. Screens Lamar Miller, and he's surrounded and gang tackled. Corey Nelson, Shane Ray.
Shane Ray. And Wade Phillips, Sean, he tells his defenders, get to the ball. And Ray understands that. Watch where he comes from to make this tackle on this screen pass. And it's the 4th quarter. It's 27-9, and he is flying. That's impressive.
Von Miller said he's exceeded my expectations, talking about Ray. He said he's become one of the best linebackers in the league already. That's batted down again, this time by Jared Crick, the former Houston Texan. He fought long and hard about staying in Houston, but decided to come to Denver in part because it's not far from his home in Nebraska. Kozad about 3 hours away.
I'm sorry, Sean, but when you're 6'8", sometimes it takes longer for you to get rid of the football. And Osweiler had a lot of passes batted down here in 7 games as a starter with the Broncos. He's had a couple more batted down tonight. You don't see a lot of 6'8" quarterbacks or 6'8" catchers or shortstops.
As part of the coach, does that delivery is kind of 3/4. He's not throwing it above his head at 6'8".
Possibly.
5-man rush on target. Fedorowicz trying to get the first down. They're going to mark it right along the 35-yard line. I believe he has it. Chris Harris and T.J. Ward try to drive him back. So we're down to a minute to go. No timeouts for Houston, and they're not in a particularly big hurry here. Down by 18. Miller trying to extend that sack streak. Are you surprised Von Miller's still out there with 40 seconds to go?
You know, not really. When I was coaching, you have defensive linemen with incentives in their contract. They work all day to get this lead, and this is the most predictable passing situation there is. You're going to get an opportunity to rush 5, 6, 7 plays in a row, and I'm not surprised at all. Von Miller might punch you if you take him out of the game.
Well, it's been the longest sack streak of his career. Another hard hit. Boy, Corey Nelson's had a nice night. Excellent coverage on special teams, and now getting a chance to play as a reserve linebacker. He's not afraid to hit you. Third-year man out of Oklahoma.
I felt that one.
Yes, you did. Final 20 seconds. And an incomplete pass behind Alfred Blue. Simeon threw for 157. Not much more than Osweiler's 129, but the big difference obviously tonight, Denver could run the football and the Texans did not.
Yards per pass, though.
Yeah.
39 attempts and 120 yards passing, and a lot of it has come in this meaningless prevent zone defense situation.
Osweiler throws a wobbler incomplete, looking for Fedorowicz. And that defense still fired up. Ward and Parks combining on the coverage, slapping hands after the incompletion.
Well, we talked to these Broncos, Aqib Talib and Chris Harris. They took it personal when Osweiler left. They said, hey, we spent 4 years developing him. We thought he was going to be our quarterback. We went on vacation thinking we had Osweiler back. We're going to let him know we're not happy about it tonight, and they're determined to keep him out of the end zone.
Jalen Strong, and here comes another big hit by Chris Harris, and that will end the game fittingly. Osweiler's return to Denver ends in defeat, and a one-sided defeat at that. TJ Ward there with the hug. 27-9 the final. Osweiler throws for 131 yards on 41 attempts. That is his lowest passing yardage total in any of his 14 career starts.
How about the list of quarterbacks that Trevor Siemian has beaten? His old teammate Osweiler, Andrew. I mean, he's beaten some good ones. He's beaten Andrew Luck, Cam Newton, with a lot of help from his teammates. But what a start for the young Trevor Siemian.
Return for Gary Kubiak after missing last week's game. SportsCenter coming up next. Some quick perspective on Osweiler's night. That's the second fewest passing yards in NFL history for a quarterback who threw 40 or more passes. Our buddy Jesse Palmer, 110 yards passing on 43 attempts for the Giants back in 2002. Sorry, Jesse. We still love you. Hope you still love us. Gruden Grinder in a moment. Thanks for watching Monday Night Football from Denver.